Namaste, good morning, good noon, good afternoon, good night, as per your time zone, all revered global citizens. Once again, I, Professor Anand Chaudhary from Banaras Hindu University, Varanasi, is before you for interacting with you about Ayurveda. We have started with the definition of Ayurveda medicines and then the how to search Ayurvedic physician in your country and how to search an Ayurveda therapy center in India. And then we discussed about the WHO, how the recognition of Ayurveda as a system of medicine is there. And then certainly we have also discussed about the what is the opinion of NIH, NCCIH, USA for the Ayurvedic medicines. Friends, today I am going to interact with you about what is the status, legal status of Ayurveda and Ayurvedic medicines in Europe. Yes, in Europe. So here there is one very learned lady, late Professor Savita Satkopan, who said in the 2000 that this is the third upsurge of the Western and specifically Europe about the Ayurveda in 2000. And we have to answer the queries and the expectations of the Europe from the Ayurveda. When she counted the third, she said that the first upsurge about to know about the herbal medicines in the Ayurveda was in 1920s, but the discovery of the penicillin, they again stop talking about the Ayurveda. Then the second upsurge, when there was some side effects and then anaphylactic shocks of the penicillin, and then they again started looking towards the herbal medicine or the Ayurveda to India, and there was some discovery of the 1914 sulfur drugs. And the Chopra committee and all that, those things were there at that time, and they started studies the herbal plants of India. Afterwards, again, it was subsided because there was a series of new antibiotics discovered by the Western scientists in the respective laboratories, and they were thinking that they are cured and their life is easy now. But after these side effects and the adverse effect of these many kinds of the antibiotics and some no more new molecules there, they once again started looking towards something natural, something herbal origin, which is not harming to the human body. And they look again towards the India, and India means towards the herbal medicine, and herbal medicine means Ayurveda. So this was the third upsurge said in the 2000 by late Professor Savita Satkopan, who was chairperson of the Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia Committee of the Government of India at that moment. So let us start, and the time is very less, that 25 minutes, 20 minutes, and to introduce about all, just I am going to present before you a summary. So my all European friends, please go to the site of the House of Lords and see the recommendations of the Lord Watson Committee of the 2000. And what they think, because most of the Europeans who were willing to have an alternate system of medicine apart from the allopathy, apart from these chemicals, they were looking towards all over globe, seeking something better for their well-being, for their promotion of the health. And it was creating a problem there in Europe, how to regulate all these things. And that was the public was willing to have something alternative apart from this allopathic system of the medicine. Then House of Lords made an inquiry committee, and that is the Lord Watson. And see here what in the House of Lords, the Science and Technology Committee, Lord Watson in the 20th November 2000, he said the Lord's call for the action on the complementary and alternative medicine, and the statement was Lord Watson was that okay, it is difficult for members of the public to make informed choices about whether or how they should make use of complementary and alternative medicines. There are a large range of therapies involved all across the globe, and with different regulatory structures, training standards, and the qualities of supporting evidences. Yes, different regulatory structure of the respective country as per the law of the land, and the training standards whatever they are in their respective countries, and the qualities of the supporting evidence. We recommend that the Department of Health and the NHS should take a lead in the guiding the public and the health professional through the array of the variable quality information available on CAM, and the regulatory structure for many therapies might be tightened, and more research must be conducted into the efficacy and the mode of action of many CAM treatment. Friends, this is Lord Watson in its committee report on 28th November 2000. Because the public was free, and many things, many problems were there in their system of the health there. And so government thought, and these representative of the public in the House of Lords thought, yes, there is a need of some regulation of all these things. And they made the regulations. And what was the regulation at that time? It is the, you just see, I am going evidence wise. It is once again here, that is the European Medicine Agency, the herbal medicinal product, and they made a rule and the directives of the European Union in the 2001 and the 2004 and the onwards. I'm not able to control myself to say some words. When I was in the ITRA Jamnagar from 2000 to 2007, a foundation was made by the one contestant of the House of Lords, Mr. Praful Patel, and the name was, the organization was the International Ayurveda Foundation. And Praful Bhai provided a bundle of documents about all these EU directives of the 2001, 2004, and the HMPD, and how the registration may be done, and many more things. And since that time of the 2001, 2002, I am acquainted with this all European laws, and in the banner of the International Ayurveda Foundation, founded by the Mr. Praful Patel, who is a British citizen, and he is contested an election also for the House of Commons. Then he was having very great interest about the rational Ayurveda to propagate in the UK. So see here, through the International Ayurveda Foundation, we were able to know at that time what's going on there in the UK and the enlarged European Union. So they have published here this scientific guidelines and the regulatory and the scientific support questions and answer, bringing herbal medicinal product to the market within the European Union. How an herbal medicine, better we call here in India Ayurveda, but all those rules were there for on the name of herbal medicine, bringing herbal medical products to the market within the EU and establishing EU standards for the national procedures. It was the two part. The one is the herbal medicine in the European market, and if you want to introduce the herbal medicine into the European market, beyond that, after the notification of this regulation, then you have to follow the EU standards there, and then the national procedure was made, and then you can register a herbal product and to serve there. Of course, this bring herbal medicine procedure in the market within the EU was very promising. And see what they are saying in the traditional use and the Article 16A EU Directive 2001/83 EC. The link is here. No clinical test and trial on safety and efficacy are required as long as sufficient safety data and plausible efficacy are demonstrated. Involves assessment of the mostly biographic safety and efficacy data, and in nutshell, in the short they said ki if any medicine well established use of the marketing authorization under the article 10 of the directive 2001. Again, it is saying that the scientific literature in establishing that the active substance of the medicinal product have been in well established medicinal use within the EU for at least 10 years with the recognized efficacy and acceptance level of safety. See how they have made this things, the herbal medicinal products, very legal, and all these things after the recommendations of the Lord Watson. And then further they are make the rules, and any one interesting persons either in India or in Europe, you can go through the site of this and how the US standard and the national procedures are there, and the legal framework, a simplified registration procedure has been notified in the directive 2004, and many more things from the 2010 to 2011 and the related articles. And see here EU legislation, that is the directive 2004/24 EC, directive 2001/83 EC. And not only this, I remember at that time also the MLXs are also notified, MLX 297, MLX 291, if my memory is with me, about the regulations of the herbal medicine in the EU. So here is a very systematic picture, very promising picture in the Europe for the practice and for the Ayurvedic medicines. But here we have to do a lot of homework even today. See, again, just I am going on in the chronology, and if you see this paper, certainly this is from the European Medicine Agency. On this log it is available, and if you go to this here of the 2014 regulation of the herbal medicine, and it is the report of the House of Commons, and it was published on the 12th February 2014 in the House of Commons, the regulations regarding the herbal medicines. And here is the directives of the traditional herbal medicine product, THMPD, as per the directive 2004. And this all is saying that, I am just quoting, that the directive of the THMPD directive 2004 replaces most existing member state regulations, I mean from EU, and creates a unified licensing system for traditional herbal medicines product in use for at least 30 years, of which 15 must usually have been in the EU, and the directive came into the full effect from 30th April 2011. So, my learned friends, any state of the EU, and it has replaced all previous rules of those members, country of the European Union, and it was effected from the 30th April 2011 that if a herbal medicine, and we preferably call Ayurvedic medicines, if it is in the market of the EU since last 30 years, complete. So if you come to the 30 year, in India it is 1,000 year, but out of those 30 years in the Europe, at least 15 year in the any country of EU, and their safety data is not under doubt, then that may be dispensed, that may be sell under the provisions of the European Union in the, and to for the treatment purposes to the patients. So this directive has met with there was some opposition also from supplier, and then they just make a transitional period there, and the member of parliament, and then they have given this. This is a 8-page document, UK implementation, and here I want your attention. The historical UK regulation for the herbal medicine, again, all those directives there, the UK tradition, and here they are said very clearly a history of traditional use for at least 30 years, and out of which generally 15 years must have been in the EU. Evidence of safety, we have discussed. Adherence to the appropriate manufacturing standards. Adherence to the appropriate manufacturing standards, that is the GMP in India, and now it is the WHO GMP, and as per the European laws, and the provisions of appropriate product information to users. This is very important. That I wanted to make your attention here under these regulations of the 2014, that information to the consumer, the provisions of the appropriate product information to the user is must, and then the EU community list, and this is the one thing where I want your attention. Sell thorough period for the herbal medicine. It was when notified in the April 2011, the MHRA advised that realities would be allowed, retailers would be allowed to sell through their stock of herbal medicine products that were already held, and it was anticipated that these products would be sold within 18 to 24 months, because as they have the expiry period of the that. So in that was the transitional phase. Now it is not relevant now. What is relevant now? It is that the herbal product must be in EU for 15 years in the market without any adverse report then. And here the regulations of the herbal practitioners, yes, it is really very important. Who will practice there in Europe and how the registration will be done? It is a big question. In India, people say, we say it is the yakchak press, and in Europe and in English, people say $1 million question. So it is a $1 million question here. Who will practice Ayurveda in the Europe, and how they will practice Ayurveda in the Europe, and how their system will be there. So here it is a huge task. It is already there, and public consultation is going on, and Secretary of State of Health in the 2011, Mr. Andrew Lansley announced, and then the 2013, and many things just going on, and the Westminster Hall debate took place there, and the result is that still it is pending. Almost it is somehow regularized, but again there is a need to allow the recognized, qualified, validated Ayurvedic Vaidyas, Ayurvedic physicians educated in India to be allowed to practice in EU countries. And till this will not happen, I afraid the full-fledged qualified Ayurvedic treatment will not be available to the European citizens. Because India is the origin country of the Ayurveda, and here when House of Lords member Dr. Honorable Walton said that the training standard, education standard, qualifying things, if it is not proper, not appropriate, it is very much varying. That is the difference. There is a difference in the different country, and it will not be appropriate to make any comment on that. So here, if the Indian qualified people in the Ayurveda should be allowed to the European Union countries in mass, they must be welcome as the MBBS doctors are being welcomed from the India to everywhere. In the same way, the BAMS, qualified BAMS, recognized from the recognized institutes of the India, having the registration with the NCISM. NCISM means National Council for the Indian System of Medicine. It is the regulatory body for the Ayurvedic education in the country India. So then it should be there. And if they will be there in Europe, then the real service will be available to the European citizens. And see here, the public campaign is also, and this is the opposition of the EU directive, some opposition. There was some cost of the regulatory compliances, then the exclusion of the newer herbs, because the foundation of the 30 years is there, and there are the many products in India as well as in other countries which are not in the EU market but very much effective in their original country of origin, and they are not in the EU market because they were not very much popular Vadyas there, or the citizens have not knowing about that. So these things were opposed, and a consensus is being made there. And then the next I want your attention here. This is the summary minutes of the Herbal Medicine Advisory Committee meeting held on 15th December 2021. We have started our discussion with the comment of the Madam Savita Satkopan, then the Lord Watson committee report, Health and the Technical Advisory Board, and after that this 2014 document of the European medical agencies, and then here it is the 2021 document 15th December from the Herbal Medicine Advisory Committee meetings. And here also very interesting thing, but almost the same line what has been quoted into the EU directives of the 2004, and these traditional herbal registrations of the medicine, not only the practitioner, the natural process, Herbal Medicinal Product Committee, HMPC reports, and the EU members. And then here it is the all patient involvement strategy published in September 2021, which sets out how the MHRA will engage and involve the public and patients at every stage of the regulatory journey. This regulatory journey is really very important, and this directives of the 2014 is important. And finally, my dear friends, I want your attention to this. Ayurveda in Europe, status and the perspectives. It is the invited write-up of a director of Ayurveda Center, which is very well established into the Germany at Brestein near Frankfurt. And Mr. Mark Rosenberg, he wrote a lot, everything authentic, and what he is talking about, just 2-3 minutes more, and I am summarizing it, that while system of the natural medicine are well accepted by patients and doctors in Europe, Ayurveda is not generally acknowledged as a medical act. In the act, the state regulators for applying Ayurvedic medicines vary from country to country of the Europe, and there are also major legal obstacles for Indian Ayurvedic doctors who want to practice in Europe. And this is the point what I am raising before the regulatory authorities of the EU. You have to invite these doctors, as you are inviting and permitting the allopathic doctors, if you want real Ayurveda to serve your citizens and in your country. So the quality training of the local health professional and safe Ayurvedic practitioner, it's a very good write-up. And here, just for your information, Mr. Mark Rosenberg, the director of the Rosenberg European Academy of Ayurveda, is saying that the countries in which only official medical acts are allowed to be used in the therapy, in case Ayurveda is not recognized as such, Ayurveda cannot be practiced. He has divided all European Union countries in 3 categories. What he said, one which is not allowing Ayurveda, another countries group which is the free choice of the therapy. In these countries such as Germany, Austria, and the Netherlands, doctors are free to choose a non-conventional therapy, Ayurveda maybe here, method for their patients. As a result of CAM, including Ayurveda, is not much restricted in its use by the physician. In this, Germany, Austria, and the Netherlands, and country having integrated CAM into their healthcare system, it is the only country, that is the Switzerland, and which is allowing CAM. See, in the whole this write-up, Mr. Mark Rosenberg is emphasizing that, and it is really very encouraging, that the the medical professionals, means the graduates of the modern medicine, are having good interest into the Ayurveda. And what he is reporting in his write-up, that about 13% of the Western doctors in the Germany, as per the survey of the Federal Association in 2021, that 13% doctors are having some additional qualification about the Ayurvedic medicines. And even in his center, there is a flow of the doctors of the modern sense to know about the Ayurveda. So it is a really very good sign. And not only this, he is also quoting that about the 50% of the cancer patients are looking for their some alternative medicines, and the basically Ayurveda in the Europe for the well-being of the life. And the most important thing, what this director with his own experiences is advocating, that Ayurvedic Vaidyas must be there in the Europe, and there must be a regulation where this India educated Ayurvedic practitioners must be allowed there. And it is a very good thing. I am delighted to inform you that they have running a course, master in the Ayurvedic medical sciences with the Middlesex University London, and there is the 42 hours course which is giving 4-year course, and many more are just interested and the registered here. And I congratulate Mr. Mark Rosenberg and the Christine Rosenberg, the both directors of the center, for showing this authentic Ayurveda to Europe. And they always invite Ayurveda experts from India, and they are training their Western doctors as well as the all other learners who want to know Ayurveda in the Bristine, and a very good setup is there. In the same way, there are the many other centers also in the Europe, and everything must be propagated in a very progressive pattern and with the regulation. And that regulation is required from the European Union or the MHRA or the any other country. And my submission to all my respected viewers is that Europe is having a very high degree of acceptance of Ayurveda, Ayurvedic medicines. Here is a need of collaboration between the governments, the government of India and other governments of the European Union, and they should cooperate and collaborate with each other. They are doing already it from even the Berlin University. There are the projects, and the other places also. Even the Latvia, there are some good projects are going on. So my submission is that both way, to the Indians, Europe may be your center for the servicing the humanity through Ayurveda, and here to Europeans must compel your government to make a way for the Ayurvedic practice and the availability of the Ayurvedic medicines in your country. And that is only possible if government and the legal frame, if governments are agreed on on all these things, and in the legal frame, and regulators are modifying their regulations for the acceptance of Ayurveda and Ayurvedic medicine. Europe is a good place, and many people are working very well there, including this center. So I just put before you these 4-5 data which are available publicly, all these write-ups, all this committee, all these recommendations. So in Europe, Ayurveda has a very bright future, I do believe, and I wish all the learned citizens of the European Union, because here is the one paragraph, public driven. Public is demanding. So you all citizens, learned citizens of the European Union must compel your government for the easyification of the practice of Ayurveda by the Indian qualified Ayurvedic doctors, as well as the European Ayurvedic qualified doctors who studied in India under a course, or there somewhere in the European centers which are now upcoming. And of course, Ayurveda is able to serve humanity in Europe in its whole holistic approach with its doctrines, and can improve the mental and the physical health of everyone who needs Ayurveda. and who want something alternative, something complementary apart from the main system of the medicine for the well-being of life. With this, I once again thank you all for giving your precious time to listen us and to interact with all of us. And then good night, good evening, good afternoon, good noon, good morning, and namaste as per your time zone. Thank you everyone. We will meet again in the next episode, which may be from any other country. We covered WHO, NIH, and the European Union. It may be Arabian or the African in the same way. Thank you once again.